We do have a call from Patrick in Florida. You ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, awesome. Patrick, tell us what's on your mind today.
Yes, I hope you all are doing good. First off, the call screeners, I wanted to say I appreciated them. I've called in a few times and just like to give a shout out to them. And but like I had this like my faith is pantheism, the God of Einstein and Spinoza, and I was just looking at the definition of it. A doctrine which identifies God with the universe or regards the universe as a manifestation of God, which I hadn't heard that. That seemed like that wouldn't fit to me. But then it said the second definition is worship that admits or tolerates all gods. And, I would think that would be fitting too, because as a pantheist, I guess any book could be a part of your quote Bible, because, from my perspective, it's open to other things. Like I'd be more agnostic to Christianity or something like that. I don't know about, the Garden of Eden, I think, has been debunked by science. What do y'all think
I mean, any of those individual stories we can really pull apart. But
and then this panpsychism that, equates like consciousness as like a fundamental aspect, or pan-protopsychism, that proto-consciousness is fundamental. That, to me, I think that's a plausible idea. And then I was like wanting to maybe, like, as a side note about the Dawkins scale, because the Dawkins scale, I think, is pretty solid as far as the 1 through 7. You got the strong theist on one end, and then the strong atheist on the other end. And this is what I'd like to see what y'all think about this. Like, I believe that everyone is born at number 4, a pure agnostic. And the original definition of that, though, was like that old dictionaries, I had them and read them, that would say neither having faith nor disbelief in God. And then it seems like the definition for agnostic has changed a little bit. I've heard agnostic atheists that appear to think they're agnostic because they put the term agnostic as an adjective in front of the noun atheist. That's not the same, from my perspective, as saying you're just a pure agnostic.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. And that's why, Dawkins developed a scale, and that's why we have, nuanced conversations here rather than all just voting in with a number each week. I guess we're covering everything from Dawkins to Spinoza and pantheism and some of these different ideas. So Patrick, you've mentioned a few different things that you think are plausible, but I'd really like to hear from you what it is that you do believe and why.
Well, what I do believe is that the universe, that consciousness doesn't necessarily just emerge. And there's some theories I've read about quantum mechanics, like some theories or hypotheses for that show that, consciousness, that that it's like Dawkins himself said that it's a hard problem for science. And that he said, actually, I was just reading an article that it just may be beyond us, and we can never deduce consciousness.
I want to push back though. Like, is it a hard problem for science? Like, what makes you say that?
That's, well, let me see here. I heard this. article I was just reading on it.
In that quote, that consciousness is a hard problem for science. Like
he says. This is what he says at the end of he's being interviewed. Dawkins is, and at the end of it, I don't think you want me to read the whole thing. It's short, but at the end of it,
but I want to know what the quote that it's a hard problem for science. Like, what year was that said in? Like, what year is that quote from? Like, is that a now present day 2024 idea, or is that something from the a longer time ago that you're bringing back up now?
Yes, it's definitely still the hard problem because no one's deduced it unless you have some research. I haven't read that. I've been reading.
It really has to do with a first-person point of view, and that's a big part of what complicates all this. I'm going to step in here, Patrick. Is that we call it the hard problem of consciousness, and it's likely to stay hard in a lot of ways because even as our understanding of neurobiology has become much more sophisticated, and we've been able to sort of like break down consciousness and fuck with it a little bit and see how it works under these conditions and under those conditions and develop much more sophisticated understanding of how all of this operates, that we're still really in many ways relying on something of a first person point of view to discuss what consciousness even is. None of that, though, really gets me to feeling comfortable looking at a rock or a frog and saying definitively one or the other does or does not have consciousness. And certainly none of that leads me to want to believe that the chair, the air, the table, that any of these things are part of some sort of unified godlike consciousness, which is where I feel like we might be wanting to go. How does any of those ideas resonate with you, Ben?
Yeah, I have some thoughts, and just based on how nebulous the term consciousness can mean to a lot of different people, I think my definition of consciousness might be different than our caller's definition. Patrick, what would you say is your definition of consciousness?
I'd say any organism that interacts and reacts. That like a single cell paramecium. See, this gets back to Orch-OR theory by Roger Penrose. See, they deduced that.
So I don't accept your definition. Patrick, I don't accept your definition because if anything that acts and reacts has consciousness, I do not accept that, because then you could say for anything has consciousness because based on the laws of physics, anything can act and can. Hold
on a second.
So you're just making a universal definition that encompasses anything that can move.
Patrick, I'm going to mute you here because I want to have a dialogue and a conversation with you, and I don't really feel like you're following with us. So let Ben work through this. Let's talk it through, and then we'll go from there.
Because my thing is, if we're going to agree that this is a problem for science, we have to agree on a definition of consciousness. So I'm trying to get there, and I don't accept your definition because I do not agree that anything that acts or reacts is conscious. I think that there isn't a way to demonstrate that is necessary or a result of consciousness. So
it just means that it's material, right? Like anything that can be acted upon by some sort of outside force, the fact that it's being acted on means that there's a reaction going on here. So Patrick, you're kind of saying that just everything is everything.
Yeah. And it's not really meaningful to me. So can you kind of explain a bit more?
Really, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Exactly. It would make decisions you could see that, but what would you all's definition of consciousness be? Because I want to hear that.
So we have another problem there too. If you can make decisions, then are you saying that if you can make decisions and you can act and react, is that equal consciousness? Is that our definition?
if it makes like choices, like decisions, like instead of going
so is
left,
AI conscious? Is AI conscious? Because AI can make decisions, computers can make decisions. Debate.
I was just reading about that, and that's a debate that they had a Psychology Today article that I was just reading as of July 5th, 2024, and it's talking about interdisciplinary. It says interdisciplinary dialogue is crucial to explore the nature of consciousness in AI and human constructs. And this article kind of goes into that a little bit. It ties it into the idea of pan-protopsychism, consciousness is a fundamental aspect of reality existing beyond the confines of biological or technical.
But here's my question, Patrick. You're going on a monologue, and I want to stick with this topic here. So if we look at AI, and sure, if we say that we don't really know, like there's a debate on this, at some point before it gets to be AI, like would you say that there's some computers or some computer programs that do not make decisions?
I mean, I don't know that any AI or computer algorithm makes decisions. It's pre-programmed in. So I don't know that it actually makes decisions in the way that we do. That's what Roger Penrose, he's one.
So you're suggesting that AI is not conscious because it doesn't make decisions. So you're sticking with the argument that if something makes decisions, or it has to make decisions to be conscious.
I would say that it would have to not only be able to make decisions, but be able to change its mind. For example, green is my favorite color, but I could change that and say, look, okay, now pink's my favorite color, but I would suggest that an algorithm couldn't make that kind of change. Green would stay.
But so with any of this, though, right, we're drawing a line between specifically like things that are alive and things that aren't, right? So even then, you can't say that consciousness is within everything, because now we've drawn a line of like a rock cannot make decisions. So would you say that something like a rock is not conscious?
Yes, that would be, that I think this idea that like, I don't know that like pan-protopsychism, I know isn't saying that. That would be panpsychism, that maybe you could say like, but I'm more toward pan-protopsychism because pan-protopsychism corrects that problem. So it's not saying that. It's saying that proto-consciousness is fundamental. It's like like Tesla, for example.
What is proto-consciousness?
Yeah, we've spent all this time defining consciousness and trying to suss that out, and then it feels like you're just going off of another word.
Patrick, it sounds like you're moving the goalposts on us because
get into anything. I'm not. Patrick. I can't get into anything because y'all keep stopping me before I get into anything.
I know.
We're trying
hear you,
to
Patrick.
have a conversation with you.
We'd like to understand you, and it feels like we just keep sort of moving along. I'm gonna. Okay, and that's enough from Patrick for now. I'm gonna take a quick, deep cleansing breath, and Patrick, I'll tell you what. We will give this just one more go round. I appreciate that it's frustrating talking to us. Lord knows my wife has reminded me of that information, but we're trying to do a good show, and that's going to mean us and your audience having a little bit better understanding of what it is you're trying to say. So I'm going to unmute you in just a moment, and if you can try to have a little bit more of a back and forth and really be mindful not to talk over us, we'll see where we can go. All right, Patrick, are you with me?
Yes, I feel like you all aren't very well read on consciousness, not nearly as much as myself. And you're talking out of your backside.
Patrick,
that's fun, but let's get back to it if we can.
Yeah, and that's funny too, because like I'm a physician, and Christy like knows a lot about neuroscience, and like especially in the context of therapy. So I think just asserting that we're less educated on the subject matter is kind of funny to me, but also what you're doing, and I don't know if you realize you're doing it, you're just kind of rambling along in a monologue, and we have to stop you to kind of address certain points, because if you just keep adding points, you're assuming that what you've already said is true. And I'm not willing to assume that. And so when you say we're talking about consciousness and then you start going to proto-consciousness, like we haven't even established like consciousness. And it sounds like to me, what it seems like you're doing, maybe unintentionally, is that you don't really have a way to prove the consciousness part. And so now you're like, oh, but let me explain this other thing that's the foundation for the consciousness part. Like, but hold on, didn't we say that consciousness was a fundamental thing? Why do we have this other thing now that's required for this one? It sounds like you're moving the goalpost and not really able to engage with us on the like logic and the mechanics of what you're talking about, right? Because if something's real, we should be able to break it down like this. And that's why we're engaging in this way. So can you kind of walk us through in your beliefs what things are conscious, what things are not conscious, and how do you delineate the difference?
It's hard to, because like a lot of this is detailed and I have to get into more details, and I feel like I'm not being allowed to get into the details as a physician.
Please don't get into the details. There are countless ancient tomes written about this subject, and we're not going to settle it all on a call-in talk show, but we might be able to bite off a little bit of chunk. So if you can answer the question of just giving an example of something that is conscious and an example of something that isn't conscious, and then tell us the difference between the two, it would really help us to have a bite-sized understanding of what it is you're trying to express. And if you can't answer that question, then I don't think that this is maybe the format for us to get into it all. Is that a fair framework?
Oh, cool. I got you. I go like I like this theory, Orch-OR theory, as it relates to this. That they
can you just tell me one thing that is conscious and one thing that isn't conscious?
This is
one thing that's conscious and one thing that isn't.
Explain.
I don't want an explanation, please.
Okay, a single-celled paramecium is conscious.
Okay.
A grain of sand, I would say, wouldn't be conscious.
Okay. Why? What's the delineation there? One of them is alive, certainly. One of them is bigger than the other, not the one you think. But what makes one conscious and the other one not conscious, as best as you understand it?
The Orch-OR theory, the microtubules in the cell walls of that and the human brain and any other living thing that exhibits consciousness, the microtubules, they estimate.
Microtubules are consciousness.
That means all living things are
Are you all familiar with the Orch-OR theory first?
I don't really care about the specific theory, but I'm curious, Patrick, because I have a breadth of education in biology.
You don't care about the theory.
Patrick, no, I want to know how you would demonstrate that microtubules are a source of consciousness.
They look for measurements, quantum fluctuations at the quantum level. It deals with the theory of relativity.
Okay, so that means
and
nothing. That means nothing. You can't just throw out the word quantum and say that means anything other than like size. There's a lot of people that will throw out fancy words and it sounds like they make sense because they sound academic, but it's actually just word salad and it's not anything meaningful. Like, how would you demonstrate that microtubules are the source of consciousness?
Word salad, a legitimate vocabulary term.
Are we going to have to talk about aphasia? We don't need to talk about aphasia. Yeah. Patrick, I think that we're maybe at our final impasse. You maybe lost me when you said the word quantum the first time, but if you're not able to answer Ben's direct question here, I think we might move on. And, just know that I'm sorry we didn't get a whole lot further, but I do really appreciate you working to walk us through some of this. And hopefully we can be a little more productive in the future. So microtubules explain consciousness or demonstrate consciousness. How? Going once, going twice?
Orch-OR theory, because you're not listening to me. Look up Roger Penrose, read Orch-OR theory, and then you'll be able to talk to me the next time I call in.
Yeah, because I'm clearly uneducated, and I'm clearly not educated enough to get on your level.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll take it under advisement.
You're not educated on this.
All right. Well, fair enough. We will work to educate ourselves, and we will make ourselves available for future calls. We really appreciate your time. We hope you have a great weekend.